Hello and welcome to Tropics Business Summit. I hope you're enjoying the main event. My name is Serge Poueme, and today I'm going to talk to you about smart cities as a solution to the booming urbanization process in the continent. So before we dive into the specifics of my talk, I just want to talk a bit about myself. I'm a software engineer, so I'm a technologist. So how does a software engineer ends up working on urban issues? I've been an entrepreneur as well as being a software engineer, and I nurtured a deep passion for social issues, which essentially led me to work on urban planning, cities resilience, and public health challenges. And I strongly believed a few years back that they should be tackled by technologies. So combining urban planning management techniques with software development can actually create disruptive digital solutions and improve citizens' living condition. Among other things that they could improve, we have land governance, sustainable urban development as well. So that led me to build a multi-purpose cadastral platform called CALAR, CALAR, actually, which stands for Cadastre and Land Registry. And it led me to work on major topics such as flooding and disaster prevention. So my love for technology actually got combined with that deep passion for urban issues. So let me talk a bit about the world today. 67% of the planet's inhabitants will be city dwellers by 2030. So this statistic actually was projected a while back ago in the World Urbanization Prospect, which is an interesting report to read. So that the statistic is actually from the 2012 revision. So this growth is mainly due to the acceleration in urban growth across the world, and then the cities, which essentially were shadowed by governments, are actually put back at the forefront of economic development issues. So cities are becoming major actors when it comes to economic development. And then the concept of sustainable cities is actually evolving from being simply an environmental topic to more a socioeconomic issue. And I would even say a socioeconomic challenge. So we're talking about 2 billion of people that will be living in shanty towns, according to the United Nations. And also that is coming from the Millennium Development Goal Fall Short report, and that projection actually is still on track. So by 2013, this would be, sorry, 2030, this would be a reality. So scientists around the world are raising alerts regarding global warming and also shortage of natural resources. I'm pretty sure you've all seen that in the news, or you're probably working on some of those topics, either as a scientist or as a business leader. So the world today needs a different management framework because of all the various challenges that are actually coming from these different areas. So there was an attempt at defining a smart city a few years ago called the Smart City Wheel, which is essentially a framework for smart cities. And that will says that a smart city is actually part of a circular economy where smart citizen environment, living conditions, mobility, and governance are aligned and working together to ensure that that some technological indicators are also taken in consideration. So smart cities essentially need a new governance system that is yet to be built and is not something that you could really get from a traditional city. But is it enough? Can we only leverage technology to define a smart city? And this is usually a mistake that most of the technologists are doing. As a software engineer, I made that mistake myself when I first started working on the topic. And we have the tendency to think that technology solves everything, but building a smart city is really about building a city for people first. So uh, your city design has to be centered on humans. And here, you should know who is living in your city and what they're up to. Um, and these are some examples of personas. So you are reusing the software development techniques, which essentially centers around the user persona, so the users of the system. So if you see the city as a system, here we have Marine and Ivan. It's a young couple in their 30s. They're settling in town. They're interested mainly by notifications from the city, be able to tap into the city services, knowing about activities and calendars in their city, be able to schedule the bus routes, and also be able to get help with rules and regulations. You also have citizens like Joanne. She's growing up in a smart city. She's a teenager. She plays tennis. She studies at university and lives with her parents. She might be interested by booking tennis courts, paying fees for sports activities online, renting books at the library, or meeting people from a group age. Um, and she's different from Pierre and Natalie, who are actually living and getting older in a smart city. They're young retirees involved in the community. They request services frequently from the city. They would like to receive public health notices and well-being advices. And they are interested actually into voting or providing feedback to their city councilors. So they're actively involved in the democratic life of their city. And you have Stefan, who works in the city. He's a technical agent working for the city. Uh, Gets assigned to tasks, usually work on the field. Needs to be aware of his intervention area, so needs to have access to a map for his area, and usually fill forms and reports with a lot of images actually coming from its intervention. So these are different users with different needs, and a smart city actually should take that in consideration. So what a smart city should be, in fact, if you look at the social technical framework, the first thing is a smart city should ensure transparency, allow access to open data, encourage the cyber democracy and electronic voting. It should also be a co-creation effort. So it's not a city that should be built only by technologists and only by urban planners or only by political leaders, but it should be built by everyone. And the co-creation process is very important because this is where you really take in consideration all the various user personas and also all the aspects of the city beyond only the technological framework. And of course, you want to digitize your municipal services because you want to make sure that they're closer to the citizens, and then the technology in general gives you that ability. And now we have emergent threats. So cybersecurity is one. It should be taken in consideration. The more modern your city becomes, the more you get used to leverage systems and platforms, and the more risks are actually being posed to the security of those platforms. So cybersecurity should be taken in consideration. And of course, personal data should be protected. Citizens living in a smart city should have access to data privacy. It's a must. And of course, building inclusive cities. So building cities for everyone. This again comes back to the persona. We want to make sure that the city is actually open to everyone, whether you have a disability or not, whether you are working or not working, regardless of your group age. The city should be taught, sorry, for all for all its citizens, and that's also why co-creation is really important. And tackling resilience challenges. So we cannot postpone the challenges and, let's say, issues like global warming, because it's built in technical depth. Essentially, it's a word that is usually frequently used in IT, which means you have a system that you are putting together, and you know that there are some shortcomings, you know that there are some challenges that you should fix, but you think that you have enough time to do it and that you'll be able to do that later on. But the issue keeps growing, and it's harder to fix later in time, and it's better to tackle challenges early. So things like global warming, energy consumption should be tackled very early and not pushed back, because they will actually take more efforts to fix and probably use more resources to fix in the future. And of course, you want to modernize your urban infrastructure. So urban renovation plays a big role also in turning in a city into a smart city. So you want to make sure that people have access to modern infrastructure. It could be new ways of new transportation systems like an electrical light rail train system. It could be self-driving cars, or it could simply be a new bridge that is using new materials that are more resistant, and so on. Now, I just want to take the last minutes of the talk to present a project that is going on called Lumumbaville, which is a new city. So it's a work led by a Canadian firm called EGID, and I'm actually collaborating with the EGID team. The project is taking place in Democratic Republic of Congo. It's in the early beginnings, but the work essentially aims at building a new city that will be a socioeconomic development vector in the entire area. And the approach that is being taken is smart. So it means it focuses on that governance framework and also relationships between citizens much more than into an information technology system, or let's say a set of information technology systems or tools. And the way the project is being delivered now is that it uses a multi-stage implementation approach that also takes in consideration funds raising, because you need to have access to funding in order to implement the smart city framework. So at the end of the project, we're envisioning several deliverables. So first, a major urban plan, so a refreshed city layout as well, um, a business plan for the city itself, because the city becomes an engine of growth. So the city needs to have an economy, and you can see it as a startup that you put in together as well. So you need a business plan that has also strategic communication, and as well as details on how you will use the funds. And of course, a new information management system, and also web presence, because the city today has to be available on social media. So you need to be able to reach out to your city, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. This is all part of the web presence. It's a space that cities have to occupy, and so taking those type of approach, and then being bold and tackling resilience challenges, and then taking in consideration the human aspect of a city will essentially lead to success. So that ends my talk. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and feel free to reach out as well. Uh, I've dropped my contacts in the slides. Uh, but now I'm opening the floor to Q&A. Thank you.